Oh my god, I'm such a noob. Welcome! I am Max, this is Kat, and today we have a video review. MDD put out a video that they recorded during the VidCon, so we're reviewing that. And of course, the eternal struggle with the cat. No! Don't. No, basta. Sally. No! Why? Every time. You're just fulfilling your contractual duty. No! Ow! Stop. Okay? Yes. Okay. No. Holy cow, I'm so sorry. Sally. Okay. No. All right. After that, how is... No! Stop. Pinche traitor. No. Holy shit. Okay. Looks like we settled down. I'm sorry. That was a solid 2 minutes of me just taking it against the freaking cat. All right. Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing awesome. Winter is here. It's cold as fuck. But here we are. Hello, everyone. All right. Let's do this. Andrew Wilson. Let's go. Let's remove that. And we'll get it on. Hello. And it's using the brand new, oh my god, emoji. All right, let's go. Oh, spicy. No sound. Okay. There we go. Sorry. All right, let's do this again. I'm sorry.
And unlawful, knowledgeable wisdom to be unwise as an option. And then we
Do you
didn't
take medication by chance?
medication.
Mhm.
Oh, not at all.
Rubik's with a controversy right off the bat says Andrew Wilson is a garbage human. This is becoming a theme. Yes, getting attacked by the cat for 2 minutes straight and then having sound issues. Are you guys complaining that you don't have to listen to Andrew's voice? That is a fair statement in my defense. Thank you so much.
Unless I'm breathing air, that's a certain type of
Okay.
medication I'm
All
happy
right.
with.
Go.
I mean, I desire truth at its
I
fullest.
literally just don't have any idea what the hell you're talking about. Like, I
That's-
can't follow even
you-
what you're saying.
We don't stone people to death. We don't kill people for
Yeah.
not being virgins on
Yeah.
their wedding day. What do you think that is?
What the hell does that have to do with my claim?
What do you mean? It has everything to do with your claim. But we won't spoil it because I saw this already. And this also has a cameo by a friend of ours. So It's a video, so that's full screen.
If a politician, right, you vote him in office, he's a Christian. He's going to be making moral decisions on behalf of the electorate, right?
Right.
Where do you want him to?
All those
Where do you want him
everyone
to
in the
draw
electorate
his information from?
From the electorate. So with
What?
the electorate.
It's a Rubik says, "Oh, is that You Are Mobbed?" It is indeed. Check out the You Are Mobbed interview. He already dropped part 1 that he did with me over on his channel.
It's not all religious.
What if the electorate asked him to do something immoral?
This was at the Bacon. Yes, it was recorded at the Bacon.
My name is Andrew Wilson, host of The Crucible, popular entertainment channel on YouTube. And today I'm going to be debating 5 different people on 5 different topics for 5 minutes. My first.
I didn't understand if there's going to be more of these, because he debated 5 different people on the same topic, not 5 different topics. So I don't know if there's going to be more video dropping or what.
First topic will be Christians have as much of a right to rule as secularists.
What's that's such a silly, that's such a weak position to take. Yes, no one says that you don't have the right. We just disagree with the way that some Christians go about choosing their policies. And this will become a lot more clear when you speak with You Are Mobbed, that you don't even go by the rules of the Bible anymore. So what point? It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make a point. It doesn't make anything. Because you don't stone people to death anymore. And we don't do a lot of the punishments that the Bible says we should do for things that we don't punish anymore at all.
There we go. All right, so Christians have as much of
David says, Sandra Wilson is becoming furniture at MBD. Yes.
right to rule as secular people.
Correct.
Um,
So
Yeah,
just to kind of let me flesh it out a little bit for you very briefly.
Yeah.
So the idea is secularists say that only they seem to be able to have the power to push political authority. I push back against that idea.
Who says that? Who said that and when? Because no one says that. We just, right now, there's a way in which we can go out doing legislation. We can do it in an informed way by looking at the data, analyzing, taking measures, analyzing the data, and yada, yada. Or we can say, the Bible says so we shouldn't do it. And then those are, kind of what is being discussed. And no one says that you don't have the right to make your political decisions as a Christian. What we're saying is that your political decisions in 2025 are better informed by other means than just by listening or your interpretation of what the Bible says.
And say no, Christians also should be allowed to push political authority. And just because you're a secularist, it doesn't give you any additional right to have authority than a Christian does. So this idea of separation of church and state actually doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because if Christians can push political authority.
Those are two different things. And yes, separation of church and state, it's imperative, it's foundational to political power in the US. What the fuck are you talking about?
As is their right, then it seems that you're going to have Christians who are in the government and they are going to be ruling from their moral stance.
Okay, yeah, I don't actually entirely disagree with this. I would say, though, when we're talking about Christians in authority, I think that usually what they're talking about, or the criticism, is less so that they're Christian and more so that they're operating under a dogmatic ideology. And so under that concept, like, do you think it's okay for people to use dogmas in a political sense?
Like the Constitution, like that kind of dogma?
Oh my God, you're so the Constitution, I guess you could consider it a dogma, but it doesn't. It's not as it's not the same as religious dogma. The Constitution is trying to set a level playing field for all the citizens of the U.S. and declaring how a country is supposed to run, right? But it's not dogmatic in the same way that religion is, because built into the Constitution are mechanisms to amend the Constitution, which has happened many, many times. So I guess you could make the lazy, bad, dumb argument that yes, well, the Constitution is a dogmatic document. Or you could maybe step a little bit into the nuance of things. I don't know, I guess. But I know you don't like to do that, Mr. AW. Oh, thank you for this. Let's say dogma, a principle or set of principles laid down by an authority as incontrovertibly true. Right. I mean, it doesn't say anything outlandish in the Constitution, right? Just lays out the rights and obligations of people and procedural administrative processes for the country and so on. But it's dogmatic up to the point that it has a self-contained mechanism for reform, which is nowhere near comparable to what a religion could be, right? Religions do reform. They say they don't, but they do constantly. But yeah, it's not even closely the same.
Why would the Constitution be dogmatic?
Well, what is a dogma? Let's start with that.
A dogma is an appeal to some sort of unchanging authority.
Is that what you think it is?
I believe it is.
Yeah. So let's look at this idea. We'll kind of flesh it out a little bit here. I think that it's fine. By the way, that I'm not sure that the Constitution is able to be changed in certain parts of it, right? Or it stops becoming the Constitution. But I think the idea of what we have.
Well, duh, but that's everything. Yes, if you take the Bill of Rights from the Constitution, it becomes something else. But so does with it. Andrew, dude, this guy has a debate course online that I'm pretty sure it isn't cheap, right? What the hell?
But America is dogmatic. The idea of, well, only secularists have the ability to rule because we have to separate out religious authority, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that we.
Again, who says that? This I love it when in 2025 in the US, as the vast majority of the population, they still go into the little persecution complex like they're chasing us because we're Christian. Holy cow. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the freeze frame was not the best.
We do need to separate out religious authority. I don't even think we can. And so if politicians.
Yes, you can. My country has been doing it from the start. The US has too.
Are going to rule from a moral stance. What's going to inform their morals? Well, it's going to be their religion and their dogma.
Right.
So if that's.
Yeah, their religion and their dogma, and mostly the current times are what defines the moral collective. Because, as I said in the intro, you guys do not stone any more people to death for anything. You have delegated the punishment of crimes to the pertinent authority, which is the police, right? So you don't go, there's a lot of things that you, right off the bat, do not hold that the Bible says that you do have to hold. And I've heard Andrew's argument. He said, well, that's just the Old Testament. It's a Jewish law. It's not Christian law. Number one, that's wrong, because scripturally you're wrong, because the law is meant to be kept forever. The law is not meant to stop. So when Jesus says, I come to fulfill the law, not to remove it, but fulfilling doesn't mean that the law goes away. And an example I can tell you is, and this is actually from Justin from the Construction Zone. You fulfill the law of putting on your seatbelt, but that doesn't mean that you now can take it off. Fulfilling the law is wearing your seatbelt every time that you drive, right? At least in Uruguay. In Uruguay, seatbelt, no, driving without a seatbelt is illegal. So it gets you into that problem. Oh, and also, Andrew, if you throw out the Old Testament, Jesus then is just some dude who disappeared after he died. So it doesn't get you where you want to go.
That's informing. If my dogma is informing my morals, aren't I supposed to rule from my dogma?
Well, so I think this is kind of like you can be dogmatic without appealing to a dogma. Or you can be, I think a better way to put this, I think you can be secular as a
Good correction there, because you were about to just affirm P and not P, buddy. Not cool.
Christian, right? So being secular, to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is pretty much just operating outside of religious context, right? So in government, for example, I don't think the Constitution is dogmatic because, as you mentioned, it's amendable. Something like the Bible, right? If that's your point of moral authority, I think you can operate under that. We all have some sort of moral system that we're appealing to. But I think that when push comes to shove, right, if there's an issue like evolution, for example, right, that's a lot of pushback in schools right now. I don't think that you can appeal to evolution being false purely because it contradicts the Bible. I mean,
Ooh. David with the 5 Yerba Mate Talks memberships. Thank you so much. Let's see who they landed on. And, all right. Artem, Bev, Leolin, Ragebot, Billy Bonsalot, Toefangus. You can all thank David for your membership. Thank you so much. That was cool. Okay, Guy, you need to round up the point. I already forgot what you started saying, but you're going down the correct route. Let's see if you can pull it off.
I mean, you technically can, but I don't think it's justifiable. Does that make
Why not?
sense? Because it's non-falsifiable. You can't, if you're just going to assume that the Bible is true as your foundation, that's operating dogmatically.
Okay, now you let him bamboozle you into dropping the actual point. All right, what is the big defeater for this Andrew Wilson nonsense? Is that to what level do you let that religiosity seep into your policy making? Because right now in the US, we have people trying to remove some books because, I don't know, maybe they draw a human anatomy and that's or they portray a situation that they don't like, as a I can't remember any exact example, but I think they've had trouble with like children's books that depict a kid having 2 parents and shit like that, right? And also the topic of evolution. They don't want evolution to be taught because God created everything, right? So how is that making a good decision for the country? How is going completely against the scientific consensus and saying God created the earth about 6,000 years ago, and that's it. We don't want no. The state tried pulling that here. Thankfully, it wasn't signed into law. Got an email from the local library about it. Yeah. And regarding that, sorry, I'm still recovering. Regarding that book situation specifically, some people, very smart people, used the same criteria that these people used to get some other books banned and got the Bible banned. And that's how you fight against this nonsense. I think that's a great political move. It's non-violent, but it's firm and concise, and it displays a message that this is hypocritical. I think that's great.
And
So-
I don't think we can really make progress that way.
Yeah, but that's just assertions, right? Like, let's say that Christians did. Let's say they outlawed the teaching of evolution,
Mhm.
right? So what? What would even?
What do you mean, so what? It would be catastrophic, you absolute jerk. What do you mean, so what? They're going like this against what we know about the earth. How is that good in any kind of way? Holy shit. This is insane.
Even your argument be? If the argument is we have to outlaw prayer, we have to move prayer out, we have to move God out of schools, we have to move these things out of schools,
Mhm.
then when Christians are in charge, why shouldn't you be surprised when they say, "Oh, well, we're gonna move your stuff out"?
Which stuff out? The problem is that if we take it your way, okay, you want to have prayer in school, okay, but you'll get really upset when little Omar grabs his prayer mat and recites the Quran, because you will not like that. And little Omar has nothing to do with it. He was taught that's what you do, so it's not his fault. So, Andrew, what do we do now? Huh? So, you see, there you go. To clear and concise examples of why, Andrew, you're fucking wrong. And why it's not that Christians shouldn't be in power, it's that the people like Andrew make bad choices. Really bad choices. Potentially the worst at every turn. Because not teaching evolution is just reality denial. And then when he talks about, oh, we want prayer back in school, yeah, but you want Christian prayer. It's not about being that you need more religiosity. No, you need my flavor of religion. That this is so dumb.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna move your nonsense out of here, right?
I agree. Like if Christians are in power, of course they have the authority to technically do whatever they want.
Yeah, but what my argument is that they have every much right. They have as much right to utilize that political power and authority as secularists do. Secularists and atheists have no leg to stand on when they say, "Wait a second,
Yes,
Christians
we do.
aren't allowed to push."
Data, results, motherfucker. We live in, this is the real world. Holy shit. How? How do people think that he's good? Dude, no. we got. Oh, no.
their power. Yes, they are. If atheists are, Christians are too.
I agree. Maybe the better way to put it is they are legally allowed to. I don't know that they're, I mean, ethically you can do whatever you want as well, right? But I don't think it's ethically permissible. I think that this is unethical behavior.
What's unethical about it?
Well, so for example, right, if we're pushing out something like evolution, I think that leads to a lot of downstream effects as far as like
So
anti-science
does pushing out prayer.
How so?
No! No, action replay.
Leads to a lot of downstream effects.
Hold on. Hold on, because this needs to be. Yes.
As far as like
So does
anti-science rhetoric.
pushing out prayer.
So that's phasing out prayer. No. What does prayer give you? Nothing. On the other hand, what does removing the evolution being taught in schools? What does that do? Put a blindfold over people's eyes so that they don't understand whatever the hell is going on. Like, this is so ridiculous. And okay, fine, you're not allowed to pray in school, and that's mostly because of what I told you, because you will have people of different faiths. So how do you deal with that? I'm pretty sure you wouldn't want other people praying their prayers and not your prayers. So that's mostly the main source of that. But they're not teaching a subject, Andrew. This is ridiculous.
How so?
Well, I mean, you would have to admit that when you were a kid, maybe not when you were a kid, but at least when I was a kid, we used to pledge allegiance to the flag, right?
Yes.
One nation
Oh, this is going to be extremely dumb.
under God. So it gives a reinforcement of patriotism, an idea of solidarity with your countrymen, right? And if prayer in school also creates.
It's a meaningless platitude coming from a world in which random ass people could just betray their country. I mean, it still happens today, but I mean, regular people are hardly ever committed, like actually tested in their patriotism. Patriotism is just a meaningless thing, like, really. Well, mostly because I don't attribute. It happens the same thing that racism with to me. To me, it's like I understand that racism exists, but I don't have it internalized of not seeing it all the time. So I it's a handful of times that I can actually consider that I witnessed like actual racism. So I don't get it with nationalism either. But oh my god, this is so dumb. Pledging the flag, it doesn't get you anywhere.
Idea of solidarity with your countrymen, right? And if prayer in school also creates solidarity between people, it gives them purpose, gives them faith.
None of that is true. Prayer in school does absolutely nothing. You could actually take that time and just do I don't know, let's call it appreciation moment, where you go in around and you tell to your fellow classmates something you like about them. I don't know, that even that would be more productive. Like, how do you say all of this stuff without so confidently, without any reason for it?
There's all sorts of negative ramifications of pushing it out.
No,
right?
there's none. There's none. There's zero ramifications of removing prayer from school. You're still allowed to pray outside of school. Show me a study. Show me data. Show me something. No! How?
Oh,
Wow, that goes quick. All right.
yeah, that went real quick. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
How many times a day do you pray? Woo! Look at that! Woo! Woo! Bike! 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 But sadly, that's as much as we can cheer him because I was spoiled.
All right. So your stance is Christians have the right to rule as much as secularists?
Yeah.
Okay. So as a Christian, I can't disagree with you too much on that. However, just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you shouldn't be in power. But what you do with your morals and values should not be portrayed in how you rule. And I'm a big believer in church and state, or separation of church and state. So
Yes.
there's a place for for the religious aspect of your life and your upbringing and all that, but it shouldn't be brought into more of a power stance.
You can't separate church and state. Let me explain
Yes, you
why.
can.
Have you ever
Oh, this is going to be extremely dumb, but great point to start, Mike.
elected a politician who's a Christian?
David said, how did he end up there? Mike told the story. They were at the Bacon and James went and got him from a debate, like, hey, come with me. We're going to record something. And then just kind of dropped him there. But yeah, it was recorded at the last Bacon. And yeah, caught Mike a little bit off guard with this.
Yes.
Did you expect that when he ruled from his moral stances, which were informed by Christianity?
I would expect that he would have ruled.
Hold on, sorry.
Yes.
Did you expect that when he ruled from his moral? Separate church and state. Let me explain why. Have you ever elected a politician who's a Christian?
Yes.
Did you expect that when he ruled from his moral stances, which were informed by
Okay.
Christianity?
I would expect that he would have ruled based off of his policies, which
What?
Right. Like again, this is the little stupid games that that Andrew plays. So he asked Mike if he had ever voted a Christian politician. Yes, but I would guess that someone would, when someone makes a political choice, they make a political choice based on someone's policies, not just the fact that they're a Christian. Because if you're just going to go by if they're a Christian, you have more people to vote. So it's not the main decision behind that. So that's a sneaky thing to ask, Andrew.
How's he going to figure his policies out other than
With data, you might be influenced on some of your, let's say, like you don't want to grant legal marriage or religious marriage to same-sex couples. That's fine, because it's a religious thing. You can have your church not do it, but there will be other churches that will. And as an administrative thing of the state, you just recognize. So, yes, you might have your religiosity inform some of your policies. But then when it comes to other things, that it just becomes like unacceptable, like with the whole evolution thing, right? And even now that I think of it, even some of the other ones that we would have said, oh, it's okay, it's just that they're religious. We're more and more understanding that it's like, okay, yeah, you can shove it. We're not going to disallow things for people just because on your religious beliefs. That's just ridiculous. I wish that you guys could see how different in some ways society is. For the people that live in Europe, they might have a better idea of this. But for our American friends, how different it is when these nut jobs are not the majority. It's very different. We have a host of other problems, but we don't have to deal with this kind of nonsense.
what he considers moral in his brain?
so. Let's give me a second.
Sure. Take your
Now,
time.
oh my!
So I feel like the specific people that I would vote for, elect, his policies would specifically be how I would feel, would not be based off of his Christian morals, and that's how I vote.
So where do you want him to find his morals? Like in the trash?
It's a Rubik says, I'm embarrassed by my country. It's a hot mess right now. I mean, I love the US, but like today, it's wild. It's a wild west. I mean, I've been hearing some of the news, and from the Orange in Chief to this whole mess with ICE and that kind of stuff. Like, it's messed up, and it has some very like dumb and funny things about it, but it's also very sad and terrible. Like this case of a Canadian man that was no more after ICE got him. He had all the papers, had been in the US for 30 years, and because he had a drug charge 20 years ago, got picked up by ICE, and then he perished in their custody. And then with Trump, this is a little bit older. With Trump going on an interview, I don't know if I'll hit Iran, or maybe I will, maybe I won't. He's like, dude, you're talking about bombing. How are you so casual about it? But yeah, these people that parade themselves going around, being all like, oh, Gotti, and this and that. My God, they have an insane lack of care for human life. It's like, maybe I'll bomb these people, maybe I won't. Who knows? I'll flip a coin, maybe. I don't know. I'll just put a bunch of signs on glasses and beer pong for the answer on if maybe I will start a campaign that could potentially start a war that would last for a while. Like, this is absolutely insane. But that's also funny in a way. Like the president being like, "Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll bomb them. Maybe I won't. I'll Rochambeau a couple people for it, and we'll make a party out of it." Are you talking about Gilmar Abrego Garcia? He was brought back to the U.S. No, I think this is from this weekend. It's a Canadian citizen. Well, a Canadian original that had been in the U.S. for 30 years already, got picked up by ICE and died in custody.
Can, or like if you're electing a person to be who's a Christian into office, right? Where do you want him to get his information for how he's going to rule morally? If you're
from the political party, dumbass, dumb fuck,
Christian, and you point to some other stance and say that's more moral than my stance, then why are you a Christian?
Here a second.
Oh my. Okay, hold on. Let's go back.
So where do you want him to find his morals? Like in the trash can, or like if you're electing a person to be who's a Christian into office, right? Where do you want him to get his information for how he's going to rule morally? If you're a Christian and you point to some other stance and say that's more moral than my stance, then why are you a Christian?
All right. There we go with so this is going to end up, and I'm calling it, I mean, I've already seen this, but I could have called this like right away when he said this. This is going to end up in a no true Scotsman kind of a thing. Because right now, what Andrew Wilson is telling him is that Mike's way of choosing someone as a politician informed by their policies and not by the fact that they're a Christian as the primary characteristic for that selection, he will end up in saying that he's not a true Christian. If you're not just like a raging hardcore, like I'm Andrew Wilson, kind of a Christian. To him, you're not a Christian, which is absolutely insane. So, I don't know. It's a weird kind of a thing to go on this route. But, Andrew, in the real world, look, it's my bro. I humbly spit you in the face, bro. How are you? That's a nice one. Go like, oh, I humbly spit you in the face, bro. He was gathering like. So, wait, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. In the rest of the world, Andrew, in the rest of the functional, non-hillbilly backwater kind of a place that you're raised from, people understand that the restrictions on the restrictions on religious morals are incompatible with modern life. Like not awarding gay couples rights because they're gay, it just doesn't. Our collective cultural morality has gone past these books. That's the thing. So in the rest of the world, you still have conservatives, people that are, for example, conservative, like John comes to mind, who says that, yeah, that a nuclear family is a better environment to raise children. But John's nuclear family could perfectly include 2 dads or 2 moms or a couple of trans parents or a couple of whatever, So he is conservative in a way, but he's not the same conservative as you, AW. So the world is a more complicated place than you can ever imagine. And it's always funny how when you don't fit their little snap grid category, you always throw them for a loop because it's like, you don't fit my preconceived notions of what the world should be. And they freak out. But yes, Andrew, to sum it up, people can choose, can make political decisions for political reasons over religious reasons all the time. Yes. My political decisions have zero input from religious indoctrination. So I don't make any decision ever based on a religion. Andrew, you're not the majority anymore. Most people do not think like you. And that's why the world is a wonderful place. Poor Mike.
Here a second.
Joking.
I'm
kidding. It's okay. I know you're not a
debater
yet.
Can you say that last part?
Yeah. If you elect somebody to represent you and your morals in government who's a Christian, why would you want him to rule from another stance other than Christianity? You would be then saying that other stance is more moral than his. So why would you be a Christian to begin with?
I mean, being a Christian is kind
of... Mike hated this interview, if I recall right. Yes, because he was not prepared. Like, they drew him out of a debate to record a video, kind of like dropped him there. And also, he's arguing, like, he is also a Christian. So, I mean, this wasn't a great thing to do for MDD, I mean.
kind of, personally, it's more of a comfort for me, knowing that there's a higher power, a creator.
But it doesn't inform your morals?
No, yeah, I mean, yes, it does. But in a Catholic way, they're reformed.
From is kind of a collective of like what you were talking with FTFE yesterday, a collective of experiences and I do lean.
So Christianity is purely cosmetic for you?
What What a gaping asshole. Yes, Christianity is purely cosmetic for a lot of people. You would lose your shit if you came here to Uruguay, because people wear crosses and you'll see them on the bus. Sometimes they do the sign when they go by a church. But then you go to the churches and they're all empty. I mean, not all. Basically, right now we're seeing kind of a little bit of a resurgence of these evangelic movements, just a little bit. And then the TV churches, sort of televangelist thing, those people do have a lot of followers still, but 45% people being religious and 45% people being atheist gives me a bit of hope. And I see you guys are crashing over the Mike's freeze frame. Spaghetti.
I tend to hope it's not. But
I mean, it sounds like it's purely cosmetic, and you're getting your moral information from intuition.
Yes, that's how everyone gets their moral information. Andrew, I don't know how many times I have to. I mean, I haven't had the chance to tell you, but I don't know why people don't press this on you. You do not follow the morals of the Bible, Andrew. And I can defeat all of your arguments for that nonsense. Because, number one, the other day, the last debate that you had, you said that you went by the morality of Jesus. Jesus didn't give any morality lesson specifically, talked in parables. Jesus said to keep the law. And the law is the Mosaic law. And at the same time that you said that you keep to the morality of Jesus, you said the 10 Commandments. And the 10 Commandments are not on the New Testament. They're from the Old Testament, Andrew. So here you have appealing to a thing that you just discarded as, oh, that's just the Old Testament. And then you appeal to that immediately. So it doesn't work, Andrew. So why are you just cherry picking the 10 Commandments out of the 613 Mosaic laws? Is it because of your own personal interpretation or your denomination's interpretation of what things are tells you that that's how you should do that? So that is subjective. So it's your means is not objective. Your way is not the true way. And your morality is also not the morality of the Bible. So how many more defeaters would you like for that argument? We could just line them up.
Like, oh, this feels good. This doesn't feel good. But Christian ethics come from the teachings and dogmas of Jesus Christ.
No, they don't. No. Christian ethics are mostly informed from intuition, number one, because that's how everyone gets that. It's a feeling. It's like many other feelings that we get the feeling of moral disgust, right? The vast majority of people. And then there are some people that don't, that give us, criminals. But look at Catholics. They have changed their stances so much. And again, Andrew, why are you not stoning adulterers to death? Because you also don't go by the morality of the Bible. Dumbass.
Right? The laid foundations of Jesus Christ. And if you move against
chapter and verse, motherfucker,
those, you're moving into Antichrist territory, right? You're being Antichrist. So yeah, you can't like pick and choose Christian.
What? That's not what the Antichrist means. That I love how he just throws terms he has no idea about what they fucking mean. Like a regular Joe, because they're not making a political decision that is not based on Christianity. That is not the Antichrist, you trash bag.
ethics, right?
That's a fair assessment. Man, all right,
Sorry, Mike. No, I mean I know this is not your thing, but
I gotta concede.
Okay.
CK says I tried to watch the debate with Andrew Wilson on Raging Tomato. He's so cringe. Yeah, he sucks.
It's really a topic that I discussed too
It's okay.
much, but it was a
No problem.
Nice to meet you.
You too, man.
So what was the claim again?
Ooh, it's Andrew versus Jesus.
You don't remember the claim? It's that Christians have as much.
I find that funny because Jesus most likely looked like that guy, you know, because that was the look of the people of the Middle East, and that would trigger Andrew massively, knowing that Jesus was not a white dude, that Jesus was not a bro.
Much of a right to rule as secularists or atheists.
Okay, I'm a little confused as to why that. I don't think a lot of people would disagree with that. What part do you think?
Oh my God! Wait, he has a shirt of himself that says the Indian Jesus. I love that. That is cool. I'm just noticing that. I hadn't noticed that the first time. I swear to God.
You don't think that a lot of people would disagree with it?
I think
Then why do they get upset when Christians are in office and they make policy based on Christianity?
because they make policy based on Christianity, not
Yeah.
the fact that they are Christian.
Well, okay. How do you want a Christian to morally inform their view for policy making if it's not through Christianity?
I'm not saying that it can't be through Christianity.
Oh my God. You put an interpretative lens over it. Because you can't just go with what the Bible says exactly, because it gets you in the Dark Ages.
Can't be because of Christianity.
Why?
Because it's not a Christian nation.
Yeah, what does that have to do with anything? If a politician, right, you vote him in office, he's a Christian. He's going to be making moral decisions on behalf of the electorate, right?
Right.
Where do you want him to?
All those
Where do you want him to draw his information from?
From the electorate. So with
What?
the electorate's not all religion.
It's a rule. It says if you follow the Bible verbatim, you're going to go to jail. Yes, rightfully so, because you should go around, stoning adulterers and fighting the witches and, exorcising demons, beating up your children. There's a lot of lovely things there.
What if the electorate asks him to do something immoral?
Well, then that's a completely different
All
thing.
right, then he should be informing his viewpoint from his ethics, which is going to be Christianity,
I mean,
right?
it's not a dichotomy. You don't either have Christian ethics or completely non-Christian. You can.
They always go like, what if people decide for something immoral? It's like, yeah, all of a sudden, 51% of the population are going to just instantly decide that murder is okay. Like, why? Why does it even matter for the argument if this outlandish thing, aka all of a sudden the majority of people think that something that is very wrong is suddenly okay? That will never happen, and I don't need to entertain your stupid little hypothetical for my worldview to be true. This is just stupid and pointless, and I don't know how you have a debate course on the internet, for fuck's sake.
You could take your Christian ethics and apply them to a secular situation, no?
Sure, you can apply your Christian ethics
Yeah.
to secularists,
so
but
that-
that would be ruling
so we
secularists
agree.
with Christian ethics.
Right, but then we agree
Mhm.
that there's no issue with
It says, you probably can't see it, but right here, something about the second coming of Jesus.
Christians or
Oh, shoot.
seculars having power.
No, I don't think we do agree. So your idea here is you take issue if Christians make policy based on Christianity.
when they make dumb policies based on Christianity, aka anti-abortion laws, anti-gay laws, anti-trans laws, and try to silence and shut down books and movies that you don't like, and then it starts like little by little creeping into the territory of censoring dissenting speech. And what about what do you call this, blasphemy? What about blasphemy laws? Should I not be allowed to hold to my First Amendment right to say that I shit on the Holy Spirit? That gets you into very murky territory with the actual legal system that is foundational to the US, which is not Christianity. It's a constitution.
No, because of Christianity. This is the law because Christianity says. Not, I am a Christian, I think this is bad. And also other people who are not Christians also think it is bad.
Let's say that other people who aren't Christians do think it's
So then we
bad.
go back to the electorate. What is the electorate?
Hold on one sec. Does he have a YouTube? Oh, he has. He does. Oh, shoot. Here. The official channel of the Indian Jesus. I love that. I'm the Indian Jesus. I'm here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Of course, I actually think I'm the Messiah. I just figured the name might trigger a few people. You got it just right. Your host, Luch, aka the Indian Jesus, has his own political leanings and isn't shy about them, but that's not what this channel is about. It's a community of people who care about truth, morality, and in the realms of culture and politics. I might... I'll hit him up to have a talk. That's cool. Some city exposed and wrecked by college kids. Okay. Terminal dealer. Oh, I have no idea what that means. Maybe we'll have him over for an interview. All right, let's go back to this.
Yeah, we're gonna, but the politicians
So if the
are.
electorate happens to be Christian,
Yeah.
then we're
Why
gonna
is
have
there a
more
problem
Christian
with
ethics in politics?
Why is there a problem with the creation of an imposition of your ethical view if you're in a position of power on people who don't want it?
For the same reason you wouldn't want Sharia law.
But right now we have secularists who tear down 10 commandments. They tear down prayer in school. They tear down all sorts of symbols that Christians care about. They tear down, in fact,
Based on
because it's not just Christians in those schools, is it? You dumbass. You extreme dumb. Oh. How? For fuck's sake, how? What kind of actually makes me sad is that out of all the people that were here, nobody caught that. Nobody caught the fact that, yes, we removed that because it gets you into a problem of that you want your prayers in schools and you're not willing to accept someone else's prayers.
the
push,
electorate.
they push
right?
through. No, not just based on the electorate, based on their agenda. There's a lot of things that people will get put in, politicians get put in office, right, by an electorate. Sometimes maybe they're only going to go for one term, or maybe it's their last term. They don't do anything based on what the electorate's saying, but based on their own ideology, based on their own worldview.
So
Atheists
they're
rule
just doing
from
things randomly that nobody
sometimes,
I
but
mean,
atheists.
I don't necessarily disagree,
Yeah.
but the fact of the matter, the fact of the point is that is irrelevant to whether it is done because of Christianity. If they're doing things on their own because because they think it's a good idea, and then secularly from a Christian perspective, people can say, yes, I like that. That's a good idea. But
Real Sigma says, but prayer doesn't belong even in schools. I thought we settled that like centuries ago. Yes, but apparently Andrew Wilson just gets to say, oh yeah, look at all the benefits of prayer, and just assert it. And during this event on DebateCon, he had the nerve of calling Craig you're the flat earther of morality. He's like, no, Andrew, you're the flat earther of morality. You have no idea what you're talking about.
But people from a secular perspective, non-religious people can also say, I think that's a good idea. And as an electorate, as a non-Christian nation, or not officially a Christian nation.
Yes, that's a great point, Mr. Indian Jesus.
Obviously, most people are Christian in this nation, but not everybody. And so that's the point of having the republic, that everybody.
When somebody says something's right and wrong, where are they getting that information?
I think I agree with you. Even as an atheist, I think we all,
No.
at least in America, are pulling from Christian.
No, you can't give them that. Andrew Wilson says that a lot, and this is factually incorrect. Because that would assume that it was the Christians, the ones that started caring about moralities. But there were already laws in Mesopotamia, Egypt. The ancient Hebrews had norms and laws and morality and immorality and all of those things. We had already established that we needed rules to cohabitate a narrow area. When we started settling in cities, we found out very quickly that we needed a code to live by. And that's how we get, the authority figures, enforcers, and pretty much the first shapes of modern society. That's where that's where it starts. But it starts in ancient civilizations, way before Christianity. This idea that all morality is Christian morality is just so asinine that I don't know why people don't just push against them. Leo says, I would some of this. A lot of them did badly against Andrew. It seems a lot of debaters do. Too many people let him control and dictate the discussion and are ill-equipped to handle his rhetoric. Yes. I get the exact feelings that I get with it. It's like if you don't hold him, if you let him wiggle away, he has a lot of, the Latin hips. He can wiggle away from answering. You need to hold them. And his weakest point is theology. He knows like jack shit about theology. So he always delegates it to the authority of the church. So just get him into theology and he can't justify shit.
I'll say values.
Yeah, Christian ethics.
Yeah. But
so if Christians,
but that's the dichotomy that I was bringing up before. You're saying as if you have to ignore Christianity in order to be a politician. I don't think anybody's making that claim.
No. I'm saying that politicians rule from atheism or rule from Christian ethics. They either rule from a lack of religion or through religious informed ethics.
So, I mean,
or data in that we have in extreme amounts in the world right now, especially in the US. You have a lot of data. You can rule from the data. Okay, what's the best choice to make for a better society? Okay, we have the numbers. We can actually stop guessing and address things like head on. I mean, just a thought.
And then still, I don't have an issue with your Christian ethics informing your secular decision, that this is the law.
No, how about your Christian ethics informing your Christian decision?
But that's
in the rule of policy.
If you want to change the government to be a Christian nationalist government,
how would that be changing the government?
Because that's not the way it is.
Yes, it is. The way of the government right now is that you can indeed craft policy based around Christian ethics. When you say because of Christianity, it doesn't mean anything. Like, oh, my morals come from Christianity because of the Bible. It's like, yeah. So what though? I don't understand what the distinction here is.
The distinction is the reason. The reason that this is a law. I think this is
what's a law?
Whatever the law is. You might think X is a good law because it aligns with your Christian ethics. I might think X is a good law because of whatever other reason. The fact that your Christian ethics also informed us to the same conclusion.
And again, like Dr. J always says, remember that we had the Andrew Wilson debate not too long ago, apostate prophet. Both of them are Orthodox Christians. and both of them didn't agree. So that right there debunks this silly notion that Christian morality is somehow objective. You have people with the exact same underlying worldview coming to exactly opposite conclusions on a very specific subject. So, I mean, if Christian morality was objective, we wouldn't have 5,000 denominations of the Christian faith.
The point is that we come to the conclusion, we vote on that conclusion. Not you have your ideology and therefore you win.
Nobody's disputing that atheists can sometimes agree with Christians, or that Christians can.
Oh, Leo, I don't know if you saw, but it's already scheduled for. Let me show it to you guys. John gave me the idea to do. Oh, why? Sorry. John gave me the idea of doing a free will roundtable, because the last time that we touched on that subject, we went deep on that. So it's already scheduled here for Sunday at 4. A roundtable on the topic of free will. So if you want to prepare something for that, Leo, I know that John is coming. I am coming. We'll see if Isa and Dr. J can make it. That would be cool. You are Mob, Chris, also will be coming. And if anyone wants to join us on the panel for this, we'll get deep into the topic. All right, let's get this so we can get this done.
Sometimes agree with atheists when it comes to prescriptive claims and policy.
Okay.
That's not my claim. Mike.
Nice person.
All right, thank you.
Andrew,
Hey.
see you again.
You too.
Woohoo!
So what's up? You think we should establish laws based on Christian ethics?
Yep.
Does
Yeah.
that go against the Constitution?
No.
14th,
What part of the Constitution?
14th Amendment.
Like, and what in the 14th Amendment would we be violating?
The fact that
I need to go to the toilet. I'll be right back, but I'll let this play on, and we can comment afterwards.
we shouldn't establish laws based on religious belief.
There's nothing in the 14th Amendment that says we can't establish law based on our religious beliefs.
So do you think that the morals established by Christianity in the Bible
Mhm.
have not evolved since based on secular humanism?
Wait, say that again?
Do you not think that morals established in the Bible have not evolved due to secular humanism?
Have not evolved?
Yeah, I feel like we don't stone people to death. We don't kill people for
Yeah.
not being virgins on
Yeah.
their wedding day. What do you think that is?
What the hell does that have to do with my claim?
Oh, well, all right. Well, then elaborate on your claim.
Yeah, so I think that it's completely fine, completely appropriate for Christians who are in positions of power and authority to push their position, power, and authority based on their Christian ethical belief, even at the expense of atheists who don't really like that very much.
So how would you feel if we lived in a Islamic state
Mm,
and people were making laws based on the Islamic belief?
I wouldn't like it.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you think that would be right though?
Well, for that people culture,
Yeah.
they do it now.
Do you think everyone
I
in
can't.
that culture is
There's
happy
no
with that?
way for me to establish, other than through Christianity, for me to say, well, they're not Christians and they're not ruling from a Christian ethic, so that's wrong. But from an atheist perspective, for governance, you couldn't say that they were doing a damn thing wrong. What is actually a problem with their population having Sharia law? Even why would what's even an atheist objection to that?
Well, I think that morals that were derived from thousands of years ago
Yeah.
just are not they're not congruent with our current standard of living.
So morals that were established 30 years ago are.
Yeah, I think they're continually evolving. Yeah.
So if Sharia law, right, has a new doctrine every 10 years, then that would be then morally congruent for that area and that people
It
group.
would be great if Sharia law were to evolve. Yeah.
It evolves all the time. There's all sorts of different precedents
And
which are
so is
set.
Christianity.
Jurisprudence, all sorts of different things, right?
Hasn't Christianity evolved as well?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about when you say Christianity. Protestantism, yes, that's always an ever-evolving thing. When it comes to the traditional churches, not so much. But when you're talking about Christian ethics, they still didn't really contend with the point that what's actually wrong with all of the Muslims having Sharia law if they want Sharia law.
Well, you're assuming that if they all want Sharia law, sure. But
Yeah,
you're
there's
assuming
nothing.
you're assuming that they are, and you're assuming that the population here is just all Christian and wants.
No, I'm not
to,
assuming it. I'm not assuming every.
All right. So here we have a bit more of a challenge for Andrew. Managed to wriggle out. But yes, Andrew, when you say, oh, well, depends on what church. Like, even the Orthodox Church has reformed. The Orthodox Church is not burning witches anymore, Andrew. So this idea that your morality is somehow unchanging from the time of the inception of the church, that is just a bold lie, Andrew. That is just lies. What does CK say? I think people should live how they want. It's why I love Sherwa Mate Talks panel. So many people with different backgrounds and beliefs, which no one is pushing on each other. It's all respect and love here. Yes, that's what I also love it with Isa and Dr. J. We can talk about stuff, but we generally agree on a lot of stuff, which is cool. But we disagree on other stuff, but it still keep it casual and breezy. Andrew, you're just lying here, and you get yourself into some problems when you go down the defense of this path that you're on right now. It doesn't happen on this video, but I've seen it before, where you just go, "Oh well, that's just the Old Testament." Yeah, that's where the law is. The law that you're cherry picking. So you're not even going by the Bible. Even by your standards, you're failing. This is embarrassing, Andrew.
Everybody there wants it either. What I'm saying is that is the government status, which is there.
Oh, and he was saying, what is an atheist objection to Sharia law? Well, it's a law that is barbaric, that is ineffective in the treatment of some problems. Like, for example, let's say that you're hungry and you steal a loaf of bread and you get caught, they chop off your hand. So now you are a poor person with no hand. So now you're doomed to a cycle of poverty. I'm not saying that we do much better in the whole criminal justice system worldwide. I think we need some deep reform into more rehabilitative measures, more than punitive, right? But it is objectively better to imprison someone for a crime rather than chopping off their hand. Objectively, there's no arguing about it, whether you're whatever. Yes, you might get some time locked up, but it's way more preferable than losing a hand, right? Or even for the extreme cases that the US issues the death penalty. Even in those cases, we don't go with the barbaric method of stoning people to death. We do it in a more humane way. If we accept the oxymoron of humanely killing someone. But yes, it does sound like an oxymoron, but it is. And we've talked about it, we've referenced it in the way that we slaughter cattle and that we keep cattle and farm animals. We've run that argument before. So yes, you can have a humane way of killing something.
right? They are the ones who are in charge. They are pushing that authority from a secular purview. Like, why is that wrong for that people group to even do that?
No, and again, you don't get secularism because you're so dumb. It's not that we say that it's wrong for those people to choose. We, as secularists, the democratic value is a big thing up there. So if those people want to have that, okay. The objection would be what I said just now, that it has some barbaric laws codified within the Sharia, and that we shouldn't go by them. That's basically it. And when you say, Muslim countries, even Muslim countries, majority Muslim countries, do not fully implement Sharia. Why is that? Because of the secular pressures from around the world. They want to integrate into the modern world, but they can't go around just, willy-nilly executing people and chopping off hands and that kind of stuff. So even in the Muslim countries, a lot of them are not like following the Sharia to the letter, which also refutes your argument, Andrew.
Right. So if you go to certain parts of Pennsylvania, there are Jewish communities that kind of live by their own rules.
Yeah, and Amish communities.
Amish communities,
Yeah.
exactly what I'm referring to. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's fine for them, I suppose. But I think if you're talking about the United States or the larger communities as a whole, it's antiquated to rule such a diverse population based on ethics from a book that's 1,500 years old.
Why? Why is that a problem? How old? Do you like philosophy?
Sure.
How old is that? How old are the books?
Philosophy is modern. Modern
Oh my
philosophy is
God.
not old at all.
So like the Socratic method?
Yeah.
Would you say that's widely employed?
Sure.
Yeah. How old's that? I don't know why you're using this antiquated 2,000-year-old method in order to.
Oh my God, so dumb. Hasty generalization fallacy, you stupid fuck. How does he get away with all of this?
Determine truth.
But you don't, as a Christian, you don't even follow the morals of the Bible. Your morals have evolved as well. You wouldn't stone someone to death for being married and not a virgin. So don't you think
those aren't Christian ethics?
Yes,
Those
they
would be
are.
Jewish ethics.
They originally were, and then they're now evolved.
Christian ethics are Jewish ethics. You have no theological basis to stand on to reject the law. Like nothing. You have nothing. Paul was wrong.
How would they be Christian ethics if those things were there pre-Christianity?
So how?
Because that's how religions evolve. They take what was there before and turn it into a new thing. But yes, your morality rules are codified in the Old Testament. There's no way around that, Andrew, dummy. No, shit. Did my piston just break, for fuck's sake? Yes, I think it did. I'm slowly drifting down. No! Fuck me! No! Why does this have to happen like now, right now? I'm slowly drifting down. Oh, fuck.
So explain your Christian ethics. Where do they come from? Because this was
Christian
references in the Bible.
Yeah, Christian ethics are going to be the teachings of Jesus Christ, right? The 10 Commandments.
The 10 Commandments, that's the Old Testament! You just contradicted yourself, you dumb fuck! No! No! Read your stupid book! No!
The duties set forth by the New Testament, right? That's.
You don't have any duties in the New Testament. The parables are just parables. They're not moral lessons. They're just, like teachings about stuff that is not really that relevant. You can gain those lessons from watching Disney movies too. So it's not an imperative. The law, the moral code is in the Old Testament. That's why you just have to contradict yourself and say, I only go with the New Testament and then mention the 10 Commandments. You stupid dumb fuck.
It's going to be Christian ethics.
So do you adhere to all the 10 Commandments?
Yeah.
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 Okay. All right.
I mean,
We're out
is
of
there? Oh,
Time.
Spider-Man.
thank you.
And the man says, I have this on my phone while I have the Drunk Debunk show, and I still heard Max yell, I'm sorry. It just happens. I'm dealing with a lot here. My chair just decided to break while on stream, and I'm drifting down, and this is so uncomfortable.
Greetings, Andrew.
Hello.
Gabriel speaking. So, can you repeat the
This was the one from the beginning, the one that waffled.
question, please?
Yeah, I think that it's that Christians have as much right to rule as secularists or atheists.
So my answer is going to be yes, but no. We need to understand.
Oh, lovely. We're starting right off the bat. We're starting with a contradiction. Yes, but no. Okay.
We need to see to its fullest extent of what is Christian ethics in its totality, not because of a different sect of denomination, but we need to actually be precise because there's going to be consequences from each decision we make, which is self-evident what type of nation we live in today, where you have certain conservative Christians claim to be this nation is good, great, and greatest, but can that be tested? And if it were to be tested and it's proven that it's actually evil and corrupt, because what is the doctrine dogma?
Lindsay, did I hear correctly that horrendous bill passed? The one about the books? No, I think they usually get overturned when people just use their criteria to exclude the Bible from some of these things, and that's where they get beat.
For example, the Declaration of Independence. I don't support the Declaration of Independence because it seems to be that's not the kingdom of God nor any representation of that, because it seems to be a declaration of dependence, proclamation.
Oh, the big beautiful bill. I wouldn't know. I haven't watched the news today. All right, let's get this done. That
in freedom versus proclamation in kingdom. Why? Because there's an actual leader, a king thereof kings. There's a reason behind that.
What the hell are you talking about, dude?
I agree with Andrew Wilson. What the hell are you talking about, dude?
Well,
I have no idea what you're even talking about.
Look, I understand. Look,
Yeah.
To me, it seems like if Christians were to rule and were to lead, my question is, what type of Christian? Because obviously secular humanism, their fundamental foundation, their doctrinal substance cannot sustain.
What if we just started with something simple like the 10 Commandments?
The 10 Commandments? Mm-hmm. My question would be, are there anything prior to?
Why are they even important? They're not. The 10 Commandments are just arbitrary. Let's go about the 10 Commandments, shall we? Like, quickly. Okay. 10 Commandments. You shall not commit adultery. Okay. Oh, keep the Sabbath holy. I'm sorry, Andrew. We have a call for Andrew Wilson. Andrew, I've seen you stream both on Saturdays and Sundays. So you're not keeping the Sabbath there, pal. What are we doing? So it's not the 10 Commandments anymore because you're not supposed to keep the Sabbath. Now it's the 9 commandment of Andrew Wilson's scrotum, because that's where he's just inventing the shit out of. So, all right, I think we're done here, right? Because all the rest, like, who cares? You do not keep the Sabbath holy, Andrew Wilson. So even your argument falls flat in its face. And but then look at, thou shalt not steal. Well, duh. Thou shalt not murder. Okay, honor your father and mother. Like, what does that even mean? You shall not steal. It's twice. You shall not make idols. Okay, this command has to do with God, not with the people. And at this point, we actually have the freedom to make as many idols as we want. You shall not covet. I mean, okay. I never understood, like, no one has ever been able to explain to me why, for example, lust is bad. They always say, oh, because it can lead to, right, but it can lead to you doing something bad, like assaulting someone, right? It's like, okay, yeah, but it's not the lust that it's bad, it's the assault. You can have the same lust without the assault and everything is fine. So no one can explain to me why lust is bad. I'm pretty sure this is the same thing. Why is coveting or envying someone a bad thing? It is a bad thing because it doesn't get you any reward. It sucks for, the subject from a psychological point of view. But I don't think you can make any moral argument, because what if I take that coveting and envying someone and turn it into a positive strength for me to push towards having what some other one has? So yeah, I guess we're probably in the same situation. Thou shalt not bear false witness. I mean, this is basically a legal thing to be truthful in court. Christians try to say this, to spin this as this means that you will never lie, but that is just wrong. And also we have the cases in which lying would be the moral thing to do. Thou shalt not kill again. You shall not have other gods. This is the same. Google this search on the Ten Commandments. It's a little bit weird, but we already beat Andrew Wilson with this. It's like, Andrew, you do not keep the Sabbath. It's like, we're done here.
To the Ten Commandments that we have to account for. And if we don't do that,
I'm sure there's things prior that you'd have to account for, but let's just say that we started with that.
Well, it has to come. Well, there has to be, if we account for the Ten Commandments, we need to know the reason why behind each commandment itself, from the beginning to the end. So we have the totality of reason that is logical and rational to persuade people to submit themselves to obedience, to uphold that all the way through their life. But as for this nation, we don't do that. There's problems with freedom.
Like this guy, I love the nonsensical waffling
in itself, because you're allowing free will domain with corrupt individuals, where technically we're basically children who has been given an unlawful knowledgeable wisdom to be
an unlawful knowledgeable wisdom. Dude, you're not making any sense.
Unwise as an option. And then we
Do you
didn't
take medication by chance?
medication. Oh, not at all, unless I'm breathing air. That's a certain type of medication.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I'm happy with.
Go
I mean, I desire truth at its fullest.
I literally just don't have any idea what the hell you're talking about. Like, I can't follow even what you're saying.
Okay, so should Christians rule instead of secular humanism? Yes, but no. There's a contingency plan behind that. I say yes to a Christian, but how can I trust that Christian when his Christian ethics are corrupt along the way, or has been corrupt from the very beginning? Because that Christian
that would just apply to anybody. How can you trust anybody? Anybody their ethics could have been corrupted along the way. Anybody could have a problem with X, Y, and Z. And that really doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Yeah, this is a bad argument to go down, dude.
Thing though, right?
Well,
why draft any law? Some people are going to violate them.
Well, the point of a law is to be true.
No, that's not the point of a law. Is to be true.
Yes, to have
Now, the point of a law is to codify behaviors that are acceptable or not acceptable. So, in society, first we have the moral discussion. Do we deem this activity X moral or immoral? If it's moral, we allow it. If it's immoral, we forbid it. So I don't know what this guy. This guy's so weird.
A true sense of what is truth that is good, that is deemed to be applied on the individuals, groups of individuals in this
So
domain.
you should
dominion.
stop at a stop sign is true?
Because and for the cause and effect, it depends. Stop
So,
at
well,
a stop sign. You're not only
Well,
taking
then-
care of yourself, you're taking care of people around
But
you.
isn't
and
it also true that
right
you
That's not how that works. It's a prescriptive thing. Like, it's different. Well, for fuck's sake, why do you go to a non-Andrew? This guy's making like a ridiculous point, and you're even failing at the rebuttal. A stop sign is not the same, because stopping at a sign is not a moral thing. A stop sign is more of a traffic administration thing, not a morality decision that we make for society. Dumb fuck. Holy shit.
can
way.
blow through a stop sign and nothing happens?
Then you because of your failure and nothing happens, you were lucky that something you avoided.
So it sounds like laws are there to restrict behavior based on outcomes that could be bad.
Correct, and
Yeah.
it can be prevented.
But that really doesn't have anything to do with a truth claim exactly, does it?
Correct.
Well, it does play a part of truth.
Yeah, like if we had a law that said when you walked indoors to this particular building, you have
PhD Tony coming in hot, saying, I met an Ecuadorian on the weekend who thinks yerba mate tastes like cardboard. I hope that as a member of the global cult of mate that we're here, you told him some mean words, and you have separated yourself from this person because you don't need that kind of negativity in your life. I'm guessing that as one of the Australian ambassadors of the cult of mate, you did that, or I would be really, really disappointed, Tony. No, I'm kidding. In Ecuador, they don't have the big of a tradition of mate, so it goes pretty much until Paraguay. So it's Argentina, Uruguay, and Paraguay. And that's Brazil kind of plays around with it, but not too much. All right, let's finish this so we can hand it over, because Toon is already live.
to take your hat off. If you left your hat on, what would be the negative consequence of that?
Well, why would they have the law in the first
Who
place? It would be
cares?
courtesy.
Let's just say they do.
Well, you should care, and that's my point. Either it's 100% or it's nothing.
Yeah, but let's just say they did.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
What's the truth we're trying to establish here? There's no truth claim we're trying to establish.
Interaction, maybe courtesy, professional or personal, in a way, in a manner of a format that
Ooh, BTF Wen says, Sherwa Mate Talks, love the new name, thank you. Yes.
could exist in the actually ideal real world that we live in, that it can be that possible way of living, that courtesy can be drawn
Buddy, you're not making any sense.
from the law's reflection of what is desired, intended.
I'm lost again, dude.
Oh, my apologies. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you,
no problem.
sir.
That was wild. That was absolutely wild. All right. All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Fuck the chair, man. No, why? Why? I'm having such a rush of bad luck that. Ugh. All right. Everyone, before we go, make sure to do the social thing. Is like, share, subscribe, send this to a friend, send this to your significant other, go to the corner, yes, the corner of your street, and yell, subscribe to Sherwa Mate Talks! And that way we can share the love for the channel. We're getting ready for our big free will debate, free will roundtable this Sunday. Pable says for 750 US pesos. Thank you so much. Hey Max, hello. Thank you, sir. Hope you're having a fine evening. It's cold as fuck. And we're going to hand it over to MC Toon, who's streaming right now. We also have the Drunk Debunk Show that's also live right now. So make your choice. I'll be lurking in both. Love you all. Thank you for joining. We have a debate tomorrow, so after the show, and a debate also coming up in a few days. So stay tuned. Thank you, everyone. Love you. Bye.